Okay.
All
Got it.
right, everybody, we got a special guest here, Dylan from Seattle Pro Wash. Thank you, man, so much for taking your time. You
Yeah,
know,
man. Thanks, Daniel.
yeah, Dylan's a really good guy. He's been in the industry for a good amount of time, and I think he has a lot of knowledge. And I was just gonna ask you, Dylan, how'd you kind of get into the space? Kind of what's your little background?
Yeah. So for me, I did graduate college when I was, 22. So then I just kind of best figuring out what to do, and I didn't really know what to do. So I got a job at a window cleaning company. And then I did not like that at all. I did not like that. I remember one day I cleaned a bunch of windows, and the boss was like, "Oh, go get a check." And I might have been there 2 hours, and the guy gave me a check for $35. And it's at that moment that I was like, "This is ridiculous. Like, this is the worst industry ever." So, because I was like, I was new to it and I was learning, but I was like, I couldn't believe how low it was. So then I worked for a different pressure washing company for like another year. And we did a lot less window cleaning and more like gutter cleaning. Like we really did gutter cleaning. And I would kind of see, you'd see it, you'd be working for it, and you'd be like, oh, we just charged a customer, 500, $1,000 for like an hour of work, right? And you're like, wow, people are paying this stuff. And so you see it over and over again, and you're like, actually, maybe I can do this. And so that's what I did. I just started doing it on my own because I said there's a lot of great money in this. Um, and then, eventually I just got like, you can't really do both, in my opinion. You can't really have a job and do cleaning because you have to answer the phone, right? So you can try and make it work, but like it doesn't really work. Like you can't actually run a successful business if you can't answer the phone. So I had to quit that and I did my own thing. And now, it's been over a year, and I just have my one employee, and we're having a lot of fun out here, just cleaning houses, doing Christmas lights. But we really do mainly gutter cleaning, roof cleaning, and Christmas lights.
Yeah, because since you're in the Pacific Northwest, I mean, Moss is everything out there. My brother lives in Portland. I know how crazy it is. I was gonna ask you because there are companies that swear they just do the zinc powder and that is and we've actually talked about this before.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of people on, the Pacific Northwest side of things and with Moss, and that's a whole freaking niche itself. And what's your take on the companies that actually, when they say a roof clean, like they're using, a bleach and they're getting on the roof and cleaning versus just go on the roof, maybe blow the debris off, right? And maybe get like one of those brushes from Lowe's. You got the pole, you scrub it off, and then you get your little zinc powder, and then you just spray it, on the peaks of the roof. Like, is there a difference in your opinion? Can you charge the same? Or do you feel like they're both roof cleans? They're just different.
Yeah, it's good. This is really specific stuff we're talking about here, where like 99% of people will have no idea what we're talking about,
Yeah. Uh,
right? Like this is like only like 100 people in the Pacific Northwest even know what we're talking about. Um, but yeah, with like roof cleaning, there's going to be people with their various methods. And so what a lot of people do is they don't have a soft wash system. They don't use bleach because these are really hard to actually get set up with these systems. It's very expensive. The chemical's expensive. So what a lot of people do is just brush off all that moss and they'll put down the powder. And what I do is I don't really like to leave like money on the table. So in certain situations, if it's just like a little bit of moss, I will offer them hey, we can brush it and do powder, or we can brush it and do the soft wash, right? And then you just explain the differences. Like the powder lasts about a year and it's mainly a prevention tool. But the soft wash, it kills all the algae, the mildew, the moss. It will actually like disinfect your roof. So I try to explain it the best I can. And we try to have different price points. So for the soft wash is obviously going to be a lot more expensive because it is a more expensive process than putting down the powder. Um, that's kind of what I've settled on is like I'm going to offer them both, but like I don't know if we'll always do that. At one point, we might just stop offering powder altogether, just because for various reasons. So we're definitely still working to that, but right now we do offer both to our customers, and we usually just push soft wash because we just believe that is honestly the only recommended way to clean a roof. So at the end of the day, there's one recommended way to clean a roof.
Oh yeah, and that's what we do it too. Same exact thing. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
I was gonna ask, as far as your marketing strategies, from we got yard signs to, door hangers to ads, what has been, best for your business?
Yard signs are definitely the best. I would say, yeah, that's where we got our start. That's where we got all our customers. And then those customers turned into Google reviews. And then now that we have our Google set up, we get Google people that come in, they give us a call off Google, but all of that originates from our yard signs, right? So everything started with yard signs. And then it became, you have all these customers, they tell other people, but it all originally came from yard signs. And I've tried, that's honestly where I put all my effort is yard signs. And because I know for a fact if I go put out yard signs, I can get phone calls and I can take that phone call and I can set up an appointment with that customer and we can go over everything and maybe we do a $500,000 job. And it's like very simple for me where I know if I put up more yard signs, I will get more calls. So it's a very simple A to B strategy. It works really well for us. And I've just, and also honestly, I've tried other things, but yard signs just work so well. Like I think 5 rounds are good. Door knocking is amazing. I've done it a little bit, but yard signs has just always been super solid for us. And then also our Google as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and you guys have good reviews. And that's impressive because, I talk to different companies all the time, and even like for myself, and where people swear yard signs don't work, but then they're like talking to you and you love them. So, and that's something I've realized is just because something doesn't work for me doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Like for me, Google ads, Google My Business, Google Guarantee, those are the best for me. I've tried Facebook ads, I've spent a
Yeah.
ton of money, and it hasn't done that well, right? For some people, it does. So I think, and I'm a firm believer, like you just do it all, right? Join the Chamber of Commerce, join your BNI groups, like just do it all because you don't know what's going to hit, what's going to not, and you just don't know.
Well, Daniel, I've seen yours. You have over 100 reviews.
Yeah, we're now I just got two more today actually. We're at like 125 because something that I'm really big on is reviews, and what I do is after we're done with the job, I let them know, if you liked our service, please leave us a 5-star review. This really helps grow our brand, and I text it to them right away.
Mm.
And it's a hit or a miss. I'll be honest. Like a lot of time, you send it to them, they just don't do anything, and then I don't. I used to like text them again and try to, get them, but then sometimes they just won't like it. They'll be like, "I got it." So I'm not
Mm.
pushy about it. Like, if you leave it, awesome. If not, hopefully when we service your home again, maybe you'll do it next time. But I was gonna ask you because what do you think differentiates you versus your other competitors? Because there's a lot of guys, girls that do what we do, right? What do you
Yeah.
think just stands you apart from your competitors?
Yeah. Well, there's definitely a lot of people in the cleaning. For
Yeah.
me, I would say the main thing is going to be, I always like to, I think like three basic things I would say is pick up the phone when people call, which I don't even always do this, but like that is so huge. And like if
I
your
just
competitors aren't,
Yeah.
two is show up to the appointment on time. So I do in-person quotes most of the time nowadays. This is totally interesting, but I used to never do this, honestly,
I
because the company I
remember.
work,
I remember when we had that conversation.
this is actually so weird because usually people go the other way. They start out in person, but for me, I actually originally started the company I worked for never did in-person quotes ever, and so I didn't even know really anybody was doing that. And then the more I worked in the industry, I kind of realized like in-person quotes make a lot of sense. They make a lot of sense in terms of if you want to maximize every lead. Like if you want every lead to get the most you can, then you do have to go in person. But like maybe if you have 100 leads a day, obviously you don't need to go in person anymore because that's so many. But sorry, I'm sidetracked. I'm super sidetracked. What did you say again?
Oh, no, no. And that's actually, I'm glad you said that because I just posted a story yesterday about answering your phone because I always ask the client why they hired me because I think it's important to know what I did differently. And
Yeah.
99% of the time, it's not my GMB. It's not it's not my it's literally because I picked up the phone. That's it. And they're like, I can't tell you how many companies we called. We either got a voicemail or like a default text message, and then they never like, proceed and call us back. So literally,
Yep.
if you just, and of course, and as we know, leads are hard to get. So if you're getting calls and you're not picking up the phone, you're already just decreasing that
Mhm.
percentage of closing that sale, like by a huge margin.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
but I
And
was gonna say what to side because we got
yeah.
what makes you unique and different besides you answer the phone, you do in-person quotes.
Yeah. Well, we're on time. Well, I would say we answer the phone, we go in person, and we're on time. Like we're not late. We're not messing with them. We let them know when we're going on the way. But honestly, these are the things that differentiate us. And then the third thing that I'm working on a lot right now is giving people options. So if somebody wants a window clean, a driveway, or a roof, we like to give options. Do you want different price points, to find a solution for this customer? But that, like, all those things that I just said are things that like everybody should do. So I would
Yeah,
say no, we don't do. I don't actually do anything different. Like I'm not. There's nothing interesting that I do that I don't think anybody else could do.
yeah.
Right? Like
Besides
literally,
your great
it's
personality.
just run a business, not like an idiot. I think is what we do. I don't do anything. Yeah,
Gotcha.
like I think I know a lot of people said in home service, they're like, you can actually just copy other people. Like you don't actually have to invent anything. You don't have to be unique. So maybe I'll be unique one day, but I will tell you, like right now, it's just just don't screw up and just keep going and keep doing your thing. So yeah, I wouldn't say there's any like what would be your thing, Daniel? That you would
Yeah.
say has
Well,
separated you.
honestly, I mean, well, and you look super professional. Like, I love your shirt. It's super nice. But I was gonna say that honestly, I was gonna piggyback on that. We show up on time. We're all we and with I use Marquette, so it automatically and I think use Jobber.
Mhm.
And it automatically lets them know when we're on our way. We're dressed professional. We have our logos. My truck is wrapped. And my big thing, at least I always set expectations. That's something in the beginning I did not do. And then the client would be like, oh, I thought you're going to do this. So now I set expectations. Hey, especially when we send a quote and I go over it, I'm like, hey, Mrs. Jones, you're going to get this. And it's clearly detailed. And I think that eliminates a lot of the confusionness just because a lot of people don't set expectations. Like you might call me, hey Daniel, I need a house wash. Okay, well, you might think your patio, your driveway, your curbs are part of a house wash, but I know a house wash is just the exterior of your home. If you want a roof clean, that's extra. If you want us to do driveway, that's extra. So your back patio, but some people might think it's all together. So just setting expectations but I agree with you. I don't do anything normal. I just do everything what everyone else should do. But then hearing from homeowners, a lot of people don't. So I guess what's
Yeah.
supposed to be the norm isn't the norm, I guess.
You know, I know I follow a couple people on Twitter. I have a Twitter, and this one, there's a lot of guys that are running like 10, 15, $20 million plumbing companies, right? Like in a different stratosphere than you or me.
Yeah.
And they remember them saying like, um, anything you do different is often good. If it's not like a bad thing, but if you do things different, I remember this guy said it's good. So if you have like a way you answer the phone, if you have like a catchphrase that nobody else uses, but like your
Mhm.
company uses, if it's like the cleaning bees are gonna zap your house up, right? Like just totally
Mm.
ridiculous. I
Yeah.
remember he said this guy's named Jeff Townsend actually, but he was like, um, stuff that sets you apart is good if it like doesn't screw you up, but it just sets you apart. So that's something I'm thinking about. Um,
Mm.
just a little bit. How can you set yourself apart? Like, is there something a weird catchphrase we can use? That just
Yeah.
says nobody we do that. Like,
That's
what is there that
actually,
we?
huh. That's a
I
really good, yeah, maybe I should think about that.
mean,
Maybe
there are levels.
yeah, gotta level up. But yeah, no, okay, that's I'm gonna write that down. That's really good.
I mean, you'll hear if you go deep in home service. Do you know Tommy Mello, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was saying he was like they're implementing something where they're matching
They're
their
what?
technician they're matching their technician's age to the homeowner's age.
Huh.
So they're building a file on their customer and they're
That's
matching. And I'm like, these people, some people are just like they're literally so insanely
yeah.
ahead
That's
of me.
I mean, yeah, that's crazy. I mean, but yeah,
Tommy.
no, what 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 makes you, because I know you do roof cleaning, gutter cleaning, Christmas lights. Do you see yourself adding any more services to your arsenal, or do you want to just stick with those?
That's a good question. For me, I would definitely not add any services. I would just start a separate business if I were to do that.
Okay.
Like I actually did try paver sealing and sanding and stuff. I did not like that at all. I didn't like it. I didn't like buying the materials, learning everything. It wasn't for me, so I kind of abandoned that. We made good money on it, but I'm not doing paver sanding or sealing. No. So for me, I think we will stick. If anything, we might trim a service like, hey, we're not going to do interior window cleaning anymore, right? Like we're not going to do gutter brightening anymore because we just don't like doing gutter brightening. Um, you know, we might just get rid of stuff. But if I were to do anything different, I would definitely just start a new company. Like if I was like, oh, we're going to do tree trimming, whatever, I would just start a brand new company. But I think I'm maxed out. Are you guys thinking there's anything you can add, Daniel, and Cleaning Bee Pro?
Um, so we do gutter, windows, pressure washing. The only thing we would probably add would be Christmas lights or landscape lighting. But and that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't want to be a company that's like you're like a GC general contractor or like like a, a lot of landscape companies, they do everything like on their trucks. They'll say landscape, junk removal, they do pressure washing, they do gutter cleaning. So it's like a lot of it sounds good because you could do all this, but then you're never, you're not a specialist in this niche. So, and some people look at it other ways. Some people are like, oh, I want my business to do 20, 30 things. So then I have 20, 30 different clientele I can hit up, for leads. But I just think that's too much equipment. That's too much back and forth. I would rather stay more niche and, and then just get more jobs for that. I've never been a big fan of just kind of doing all this separate things, or if I ever did, which I don't think I will, be just because time and I would start a new LLC. That'd be a whole different business because I don't think it's good to like if you go on some home service website, there'll literally be like 30 services. And if I'm like a homeowner, I'm like, this can't company literally can't be good at everything thing. So
Well, I think usually they're going to have one thing that they probably do more than any other thing.
yeah,
Like I think like usually they're going to be a lawn care landscaping company like first and foremost, and then they just threw on the other stuff on there, right? But like I think yeah, when you do all of that, I've met some of those guys. I've talked to some of those guys, and some of them have like these crazy rigs. They have all this equipment,
I've
and some
seen that.
they do mold remediation. They'll do tree trimming. Like they'll be doing the craziest shit, and they're great guys. And some of them are making $200,000 to $300,000 a year. Like they're really making a lot of money, but they are not running. They just are straight up not going to be running, $1-2 million companies. Which I'm not there yet, but like they kind of find. I think they just have a really big job that's highly paid.
Right. No, that
Um, but it's stressful. It's also just super stressful, I think, to do all that.
yeah, and I don't want all that equipment. I mean, that's just so much maintenance and all that different types of it's too much. And I was gonna now because we talked about Christmas lights. Like, what to you do you feel like Christmas lights it has been the biggest thing to really make your business go from like here to here? Because talking to you previously, I know like how you have a big plan for Christmas lights. You love Christmas lights. Like for people that don't know anything about Christmas lights, like what is your couple minute, like 2, 3 minute spill, pros, cons, why someone should do it or not do it?
Yeah, I'll start with cons. Probably shouldn't do it if you're afraid of heights, you're afraid of ladders. This isn't for you. You shouldn't do it if you live like in Florida, where they have a great winter power washing market. Then or Houston, then maybe you don't need to do this, right? But anywhere else, it's great because it's going to be the off season. You're not going to be power washing. Um, but the problem for me, gutter cleaning season does peak in November, so they actually do cross pass pretty horrifically. Where gutter cleaning and Christmas lights actually are peaking at the exact same time, so it's not that good. But if you can weather the storm, there's a lot of money to be made. But the upside is, I like it because it's very easy to train people. You don't need much equipment. I mean, any vehicle will do, right? We're not carrying SH, we're not carrying bleach, we're not carrying heavy equipment. It's just Christmas lights. So any vehicle can do. You just need ladders and the Christmas lights. So I love that, right? I can go out there with my Honda Civic and I can do it. Um, it's pretty easy to tell, like, if you did it right, because it's like the lights light up. It's like, hey, we did the job, right? It's like there's no confusion with like cleaning. It's like, oh, did you miss a spot here? Did you miss a spot there? There can be a lot of like arguing. And it's like the lights are up and it looks fucking great, and we can move on, right? And we have like very little issues. Um, and the tickets are just so high. And to get those tickets high, you do have to. There is like some pain where maybe you'll only close 20 to 30% of your leads. And I actually quoted online. So if I went in person, which I do now, I'm sure I could quote 50% close rate, but you're going to be closing a very low amount if you want to be profitable. But the good news is, if you put up all these signs and stuff, you're going to have so many leads pouring in that you're going to be profiting. Let's say you charge $1,000 on a job, you're going to be profiting 800 on that job. That will take you 3 hours. But you're going and it's okay. So that's okay that you might lose 3 jobs. That if you quoted them at like 300, right, you would lose all those jobs. Sorry, not you quote them at 300, but like you could quote them at 300 and get the job and make $100. But my point is, if you quote high, so it's kind of just like a numbers game. Like, let me get all my leads in, let me stick to my numbers, and so that's kind of what worked for us, is just sticking to our numbers. And we got a lot of no's, but there's a lot of money to be made.
And so for lights, do you store their lights or do you have them store them?
So I went ahead and stored them. I don't think it matters. I think you can have them store it or you can store it. The problem is if you have the customer store it, what they might do is just, oh, my husband's going to put them up next year. We're going to hire a landscaper here. So if you store the lights, you have an advantage. But I've seen it done both ways. So
and
yeah.
And are you buying these lights from Lowe's, Home Depot? You buying them from a light contract supply store?
Yep. I used Christmas Light Contractors USA, which I think it was the cheapest I can find, but it was kind of expensive. Like, it wasn't like super cheap. It wasn't like you're putting up lights for free. Like on a big install, we might spend $300 on lights, and some of these big installs, I think we didn't always have perfect quoting. So some big installs, we might have spent $300 on lights, and we quoted the job at like 800, and then after our labor and all the time, we didn't make a whole lot of money. So it's not like it's free to put them up. I wish it was a little bit cheaper.
Well, I mean, at least the good thing is if you store them and then the following year, well, then you already have the lights. So then you don't need to pay that $300 fee no more. So then that's all profit.
Yeah, next year you can get them up, and basically it's as simple as this. For the following year, what we're doing is doing a 10% off, which isn't a lot, and we don't expect everybody to renew. But the lower you go with your second years, the more people will renew. The higher you go, the fewer people renew. So Donovan Questenberry is kind of the king of Christmas lights in North Carolina. He says 55% of his people renew, right? So
and
45. So he's losing 45% of his customers, and his average ticket's in the 2000s. So he's willing to just take the hit, for him. And so it's tough, but.
Gotcha. Well, and then I guess I assume if they don't renew, you already have their lights, and then you use those lights for somebody else.
Yeah, and that's what I'm actually doing this year differently. is I thought about having all these bins for my customers, but what I've actually ended up doing is I decided to scrap that idea, and I'm just going to start putting up whatever bin I want. I'm just going to put it up, and I'm not really going to worry about which bin belongs to who, because I figure a lot of people aren't actually going to book with us this year. So we're just going to redo all the installs essentially. Like material, but we did all these custom cuts, but we're actually just going to hang them again and custom cut them again, just because I talked to some people and they said that's the way to go. So we're not labeling or anything.
Gotcha. Would you, as far as labor and having to be any like mechanically inclined, how much more goes into? Because there's probably a lot of people that are like, oh well, I've never done lights. I don't know. I'm nervous. Like it. How much more work is lights compared to window cleaning, gutter cleaning, pressure washing?
Yeah, so to me it's just much less stressful.
Oh really?
Yeah, like I still to this day get stressed out cleaning windows. Like, oh, we missed a spot here. With Christmas lights, it's just so simple. You make the cut, you plug in the thing, you clip on the bulb, you put up the bulb. That's it. There's no technique really needed, and it's I didn't think it was stressful at all. After we did the first couple of houses, we pretty much had it down, and that was it.
And do you have a separate website, separate LLC for Christmas lights?
I do. We managed to get like 4 Google reviews. We used the same CRM as Seattle Pro Wash, so
Mhm.
some customers were confused. We
Wow.
didn't create because I didn't want to pay for a new CRM, so that was maybe a mistake. So they would get but it was our company is Christmas Light Installers Northwest. We have a website, christmasnw.com. We do have a separate website and everything. Um, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So, and kind of last words, and I do appreciate your time. Like, for someone who's just beginning to either it's their first business or they kind of want to just dip their toe in the water, like, what advice would you give somebody in, any home service business as far as someone
Mm.
who's kind of scared to kind of jump into it? Because as we know, it is it is scary, right? When you first get started. And even when you've been in the business, like always maintaining a steady flow of leads, always having your schedule filled. That's something that's always in the back of my head. Like, even guys who've been in it 10, 15 years, they're always thinking about that. So it's like, what words of wisdom can Dylan share with us?
I like here's what I'll say: keep your full time job. I love the side hustle idea, right? The weekend hustler. I think with pressure washing, with Christmas lights, if you have a full time job, I think it's a great side hustle to see is this even something you want to do, right? And I think this is it's going to be low cost because you're already going to have your income, and it's very low risk. And I think definitely just get started on. You have nothing to lose to get started as a side hustle. And even if it doesn't end up working out, what I will say is, like, if I closed up my shop tomorrow, right? If I got a full time, if somebody offered me a 500 grand to be a full time whatever, I would probably go do that job, right? Because that's a lot of money. Would you do the same, Daniel?
Oh yeah, I mean that kind of money, yeah. I mean,
If somebody said, I'm gonna give you 500 grand to go do whatever, you'd be like, yeah, I'm going. Okay.
right.
Let's be honest here, right? But I would still not regret anything I've done because you learn a lot. I think you learn a lot running a business. You learn a lot about sales, about marketing, about relationships. So even if you end up like giving up on it, I think the skills will actually help you in your job, right? Because you'll kind of understand how companies work at a little better level. What do you think, Daniel? Would you agree with that at all?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I definitely think, and I've done a lot of jobs, you know, I definitely think running a business is the hardest thing you'll ever do. I don't think there's anything easier. I think being an employee is 10 times easier because when I wake up, I know I'm getting paid every 2 weeks. I know I have, well, stability for the most part. Of course, maybe you get fired or whatever. But business, yeah, you are. Of course, it's important to build a team around you if you can, right? Like, really big companies have office managers, they have a sales team, they got a couple technicians. That's a whole different story. But especially when you're a 1, 2 guy crew, you have every hat. You're wearing the marketing hat, the sales hat, the communication hat, the accountant, making sure you're saving money for taxes. You're doing all these things while you're doing the cleaning aspect, and trying to make your clients happy, trying to get reviews. So it is it is very, very hard, but it's kind of like what you said. I feel like it's super rewarding, especially when things start to take off in the business and you're like, okay, wow, like I can do this. And I don't know about you, but at least for me, it gives me like a lot of self-confidence in myself. I'm like, wow. And I think of it as like a baby, right? Like when you start a business, it's literally you just got a brand new baby, right? And then when you see your business grow and it gets older and starts to blossom, like it's beautiful. And I feel like every moment in your your business, there's highs, there's lows, there's times I'm like, man, why do I do this? And then there's times I'm like, man, this is the best thing I ever did. So I think it's just like it's like a wave, and it's always just a different wave of emotions. But I think that the people that I've talked to and the people that are very successful, they just keep riding that wave. There's really no secret. Like we discussed before, answer your phone, show up on time, do the job, show up, like in a good appearance, and just ride that wave 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And you're going to have, hopefully a well-oiled machine as a business. So I just think just don't give up. And I think even when the tough times are there, just keep pushing. Like me, I always tell everyone you got to have like that dog mentality. Like you literally every day I have my foot on the brake. Like I'm never breaking, because when you break, that's when your business is going to halt. So like always just have your foot on that pedal. And I know you do, because I always see you grinding and hustling. So that's why I wanted to talk to you, because you're someone who I respect and I think you do really well, and you represent, the community really well. And I thought, you'd be a great fit for the channel, and I think a lot of people can learn from you. And what I'll do too is I'm gonna link you, if you don't mind, your bio, and just email. And if
Mhm.
anyone wants to reach out to you, or shoot, anyone in the Seattle or that area, I mean, who knows? Or if they need a cleaning, hit up Dylan. Who knows? He could do your lights, your roof, gutters, whatever. But no, I just wanted to say I appreciate your time, and thanks for all your tips and tricks.
Thanks, Daniel. It was nice talking to you, man, and I'm glad to see your success in North Carolina. And as you know, 125 reviews is a lot, and I think hopefully you will end up doing Christmas lights. I really hope you do, and you at least do one job. I
Right,
really hope
right.
so. So you can just see what it's like.
Yeah, I know. I need to fly out there and just learn from you. I think that's something I would like to do, actually.
Or a training with one of the other guys around you. I don't know. I think Donovan
Yeah,
does.
yeah, right.
Um,
But all right, man. Well, thank you so much.
you know.
All right, man.